maps to watch. I think those top four tend to bring a lot of the hype moments, and we got to see a lot of them in that highlight reel. So regardless, we banned out with Flakfort as the decider.
Ooh. How dare you? Oh, well, how could you get rid of Mountain RD, guys? We're getting, like, honestly, some of the best matchups, but, hey, we might be able to get our first Flakforts of the broadcast as well. And so after 2 days of play, still haven't seen it actually played on the stream. It has been picked a few times. Don't know if it's actually played because we had so many 2-0s as well. And that's just kind of remaining to be the trend when it comes to our events. We don't really get to see too many map 3s. Luckily, we did get one yesterday, but yeah, mostly 2-0s. We're going to go ahead and take a short break while we get all of our players into the lobby. When we get back, it'll be our first match of the day here for Best of the West, presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. Here we go for our first match of the day here in the lower bracket. It's going to be last second versus Tekka Dynasty, and we're starting things off just like we did yesterday on Harbor City.
This is such a great set of teams to start things off with. These two teams have been really fighting for that second and third place, and both have had a really close chance, and some of them have even, of course, gotten first, defeating Matthew, specifically last second. It looks like they may be setting up some things, making sure that there's no bugs or anything like that. But I just want to talk about these teams again. If anybody doesn't know, Team Tekka Dynasty may be our most consistent team over the course of basically the entire Gundam Evolution tournament like history, I guess you could even say, just from the very beginning. These are players that have been playing together for a very long time. There have been a few roster changes over time, but altogether they've stayed very, very similar. They are a great team as far as just synergy. They're constantly improving, so I'm very happy to see them, of course. Last Second, on the other hand, originally a team that was put together literally the last second before a tournament, and they just happened to end up being extremely strong. It's got a lot of really amazing players that we're used to seeing doing very well, and their flexibility is probably their greatest strength, the fact that they have a lot of players who can play a lot of different suits. So I'm excited to see what exactly comes out this match.
Yeah, I believe we saw three separate people play the Pale Rider for the squad when they need whatever composition to slot in. Gasman as well has probably picked up, I think, 5 different mobile suits. They're starting here on the offense, and they don't actually have the Gym Sniper in play. So it's going to be Dark Infestor and Hawklight with really long range and Nostalgia as well. We'll see last second, though, try to creep up, but they took so much damage turning that corner. Codename Mood must have gotten a huge molly off on them.
Oh, yeah, and then, of course, Hawklight following that up. We saw Hawklight doing so well in the Gym Sniper on this exact point yesterday, and it's not going to be an exception this time as well. That is going to be a full reset on the offense. I love the fact that they're going for a more, well, they were at least going for a more defensive group up. They've got the Hyperion, they've got the Sazabi. Finally, we are going to see Amano switch over to that Gym Sniper. We'll see if that changes things.
Well, yeah, there it is. The instant pickup onto Nostalgia. I don't know if he's actually in a spot to be recovered here as Codename Moon tries to back away. Amano still keeping tabs on them. The bulk of the army are pushing up from the left side. That allows Amano to try and find an angle here on the right. As you can see, the defenders have fallen all the way back as Azor dropping down low, and now he will be the next one to fall. Exponent following up on that in the front lines. Dark Infestor taking a lot of damage as well, but it's Gasman who's able to finish off a robot, and it looks like, even though that first push was thwarted, last second making quick adjustments, we're able to answer back against them. Hawklight with his last stand will ultimately go down here, and unfortunately not able to pick up that unit. Still though, that's going to be the point going on over towards last second.
I love that comp, the double shield comp with the newer Hyperion. It's not the newest suit anymore. And then on top of that, the Sazabi. It's just once they get close, especially against the more ranged comp like we saw out of Tekka Dynasty, it was just going to be so difficult for them to be able to do anything once they got on that point. But now it's really going to, potentially help them get through this choke point, one of the hardest choke points in the entire game.
Yeah, this is still an issue that we have to point out. Tekka Dynasty on their defense, right? They start off with Hawklight, of course, on that Gym Sniper, and then he makes the swap on over towards that Dom Trooper. So he needs to be able to catch up to Blue Jay in terms of that Screaming Nimbus. Luckily for Tekka Dynasty, though, Blue Jay wasn't able to get as much damage off, so the discrepancy there in the G maneuvers in that Screaming Nimbus race isn't that far off.
That's true. We did see that be an issue at least one game, at least like one side yesterday, where the Screaming Nimbus just came way too late, and it was really unfortunate. But Gasman, it looks like, is going to be pushing up along the side, really taking an aggressive point, but there are just so many players in every angle on the side of Tekka Dynasty that is nearly a full team wipe. They're pushing around just to make sure that the last straggler isn't there. We see Dark Infestor here, back on the Pale Rider. We saw a lot of Hyperion out of him recently, but with the changes to Pale Rider and Hyperion both, I guess you could say, they are all the way back on the Pale Rider. You'd love to see it.
3 minutes
Oh
remaining.
boy, Nostalgia. He's got his butterfly ready for this next push as well. 4 members going in from the side. Never mind. I don't even know if they actually need anything else at that point. There was a punch coming out from Codename Mood at the very least. And that's the great thing about our squads right now, especially in our top 4. Their utilization of the G maneuvers. Now we do have a little bit more aggression. Gasman caught out by himself.
Oh, and we have to see this come out from Nostalgia. That's going to be 3 kills, 4 kills, 5 kills. You know, you said all of our clip highlights aren't just going to be the butterflies, but it still happens. It's inevitable, especially on this point, especially as Nostalgia. Tekka Dynasty, they pick this map every single time that they can. They've got such a strong strategy for it, and so much of it is that we've seen Nostalgia team wipe with that G maneuver countless times in this exact position.
And importantly, Hawklight is getting closer. Just a few more shots off with that Dom Trooper. He's at 88% right now. Only the funnel's up for a sword. It might be enough to shut them down, and it is. Gasman going down again. We're seeing the kind of pressure that's put on the Zombie. The sword tries to get aggressive, will fall to Wiki here. See if that's enough to give them pause. Right now, last second, or just regrouping. They have the Hades ready for Zusi.
There's just, I mean, the Hades is ready, but I don't know if that's going to be fully enough. Okay, hold on a minute. Here we go. We're going to see the Screaming Nimbus start off. Everybody just trying to get away from it, and it does do a solid amount of damage, but they are going to be able to, at the very minimum, not be taken down by that Screaming Nimbus. There wasn't a huge aggressive follow-up to it, and they're kind of okay after that.
Oh, last second though, they had a lot of people low on HP. They're gonna push up with the 80s now, finding one. That's Ace Sword down. Without the extra secondary, support unit that we have been seeing in the past, it's so difficult to keep everyone topped off. It's Tekka Dynasty that have both the Memphis and that Dom, so you get a little bit extra sustain. You've got the nano skin as well for Nostalgia, who did end up just going down there. But it's a 1-for-1 exchange. Definitely working out in the favor of Tekka Dynasty here on the defense. There's only 36 seconds remaining, and now last second, they need to make a last-ditch effort to try and push up. No real opportunity for them to try and regroup as a full, and they do touch the point. About to secure their first take. No one contesting quite yet. Gasman just playing flanker here and cutting them off on the regroup. We do have a few members of Tekka Dynasty up top to try and come in for the contest. There's 14 seconds remaining.
There's only the punch available, and it's on Codename Mood, who is down, needs to run back. So the G maneuvers on the side of last second can mean everything, and it looks like it does. Oh my gosh, the Hyperion G maneuver coming out, not even really finishing it up as the round just ends, just physically pushing people off the point to make sure that that worked out. 5 seconds left. That is one of the lowest times that I've seen without it actually going to overtime.
Yeah. And we see at times, teams really struggling making that transition between point A and point B. And rightly so, we talk about it time and again. That bridge, that one first choke point is so incredibly hard to play off of, especially when we get to these higher levels of play, when we get to our best teams. They're so good at being able to minimize their G maneuver usage for that team fight win. We were able to see that really coming out from Tekka Dynasty, really controlling that choke point with whether it's the punch or the unicorn or the Screaming Nimbus, not overcommitting on their G maneuvers to hold it down. Now it's going to be last seconds opportunity here on the defense.
I'm looking over to see if there are any real big changes to the team comps. I don't see anything huge. I do want to point out one funny moment in the last game that kind of happened behind the scenes. I did notice that I think it was Codename Mood and ended up, maybe it wasn't Codename Mood. One of the Ashamars ended up falling off the map. I saw them floating behind a wall, and I was like, hey, are they actually going to make it over? And they didn't. And eventually we did see them kind of end up in the ocean, which is a little bit unfortunate. Just a funny little moment, but it looks like these team comps are pretty similar overall. It looks like we might actually not get this Gym Sniper from last second at the beginning. Hawklight, of course, will be on that Gym Sniper once again, but again, going for no sniper on last second.
Yeah, for last second, really prioritizing having that Ashamar. We know how strong the Ashamar is on basically all points of this map right now. Not too much of a group coming out from Tekka Dynasty. They have a nice little spread, so they're not going to leave themselves as vulnerable to that AoE. Hawklight, though, will have the extra space to play off, and they're going to charge forward with the shield and Codename Mood. But they don't find that initial opening. It's going to be Wiki, actually, getting that first knock onto that Sazabi. And it looks like it's very much the same way the first round went. The defenders really able to clear out this push. But for Tekka Dynasty, it's about trying to really spot out where is their sniper trying to play off of. I feel they have a good idea of where Amano currently is playing, and they have been able to spot him out. And so we'll see if they try to maybe make a concerted full-man dive onto that right-hand side to try and pick off Amano.
I think one of the biggest things here is even if they're taking their time to be able to take this first point, the fact that Nostalgia is going to be able to build up so much of that G maneuver meter just by landing these random shots in these fights, that's going to be huge when they get to that second point. They could definitely try to beat that time of last second, but it looks like finally they're going to get one pick here, 2 picks. This might be the opportunity to make it up to point.
Oh boy, last second, putting up a great defense so far. This is the second push getting shut down now as Dark Infestor ends up going down. Acer was the first one to fall as well, and that's kind of become typical so far in the current meta. Just the amount of pressure that's been on the Sazabis has been difficult to stay alive. And so now for Tekka Dynasty, we'll see if they make any swap-offs. Hawklight hasn't been able to find the same kind of success quite yet because Last Second are doing a great job of just playing around these buildings. Isor, though, is going to go aggressive, and there it is, the dive onto Amano. They were looking for it on the right-hand side, but he's able to just back away. He's got that extra maneuverability, of course, but that's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange. Codename Mood is brought back up. Tekka Dynasty now with 2 minutes remaining, still need to make it up to the point. Dark Infestor has a nice little angle here. Does he have the backup? Blue Jay a little bit low, and he's getting chased down. And there it is, the first knock, the second coming in, and that is the opening Tekka Dynasty needed.
Oh, it does look like Dark Infestor will go down, but this is going to be a brawl on the point. There were so many players from last second on the point, but they're slowly going down. That run back is going to be huge. They're slowly falling. Zusi's going to go down as well, and this looks like this should be more than enough on the point to actually take it. I was surprised that we saw last second win that fight, and they had the opportunity to kind of move off the point, right? Move back up to an advanced position. They kind of stayed on the point a little bit more, and when they did take the engage on that point, it didn't end up working out. Maybe they were just playing a little bit safe. We've seen, of course, that kind of bend but don't break, like flexibility on these first points work really well, but that's neither here nor there anymore as we're on to the second point.
We're on to the second point, and it's going to be Last Second who have huge buildup in G maneuvers. 3 available right now. Wiki pops his first. He will fall, and Blue Jay goes down as well, surprisingly enough. And so Tekka Dynasty actually pushing up dry through this choke point, winning out. Now we have a few members in the back line actually creating some chaos, and so it's not the cleanest of fights for them. So Last Second, hold on for now. Someone was able to try and back 4. I don't think they're going to be able to secure that yet. It's Nostalgia there in the back who will ultimately go down. So Last Second, they need to regroup. They need to try and force these members back. You can see Codename Moon getting some backlight from Hawklight right now as the charge comes out. Codename Moon still in the middle of all of them. Has to back away 4% away from that Lumiere. If they clump up, this could be really bad for Last Second.
Oh, and it was Hyperion versus Hyperion. Dark Infestor has that Hades. We've seen how strong he can be, but the Lancer coming out of X-Men is going to take down 2 members of Team Tekka Dynasty. They are going to take him down in return, but that might be just at least enough to reset them back into this choke point, which is huge. They need to get back into this forward position and make sure that they can really stop them from getting out of this exact little spot with the crates, make sure that all of their AoE damage manages to hit.
Now for the Last Second, they've got the Ashamar Punch ready along with the Screaming Nimbus and the Hades. Those are their only 3 G maneuvers on the other side. 4 large ones coming in as well. Nostalgia, we're going to be keeping an eye on him. We'll see if he takes to the skies with that butterfly. You can see the spread coming out from the rest of the squad. So Azor doing a great job of just getting that scan for his squad to see if they're in group for it. Amano going in for the punch, but he instantly gets taken out. That does create that opening though for Nostalgia though to try and come in. He picks off 3, and he actually does not fall off the map. He stays alive. We'll see if they get the repair and get onto the point now. Dark Infestor with the Hades finishes off Gasman. They're on the point with a minute left remaining. If they take this, they'll have a little bit better time than Last Second.
Oh, this is looking pretty good, but we're going to see the Screaming Nimbus come out from Blue Jay, not being focused down, and we're actually also going to see the Lancer, and X-Men is going down. A little bit of revenge coming out from Codename Moon, but there are so many players going down on both sides. Nostalgia is sitting here on the point, going to be a huge amount of self-repair, of course, coming from that turn A. The Screaming Nimbus from Hawklight isn't going to do all that much, but it might be enough to at least get Gasman off. Still, there's just so many players going down on both sides. I feel like the run back, of course, from Last Second is going to give them that advantage, and not going to allow more than just the 2 ticks. They were so close to 3, but now there's only 20 seconds left.
20 seconds remaining, and they need to just run it and book it for the points. But as you can see, as they try to trickle on in, the G maneuvers are here. Wiki pops his down. Gasman has his funnels as well. A robot is the only one on the Tekka Dynasty squad, and he will ultimately get chased down, finish off last second. We'll take map number 1 here in this best of 3.
Ooh, and that was a close one. Honestly, it was so close. If that last fight had gone any differently at all, that would have gone to an overtime match right there. That was really, really close. All they needed was just one little situation where they ended up being up maybe one more player, and that could have gone the extra mile. But I love seeing both those teams play so well on that map. I think this is such a great match for us to even be able to see as our first match of the day. Nobody got shut out. Very, very far from it, as one of the closest matches that we've seen so far. And honestly, I mean, it was just well played by both sides. They both clearly have this perfect idea of how to play that map and the confidence to execute it.
Yeah, what I love, especially now when it's come down to Harbor City, is that it's no longer about everyone having to play the gym sniper or the turn A, right? We do have some flexibility in compositions, and we get to see our teams and our individual players as well really be able to dive deep into their roster pool of playable units. And so we got to see a lot of different units coming out from a lot of different players. It's been a fantastic look so far. Harbor City proving to be a bit more dynamic than what we kind of expected, especially on that initial release of Harbor City. So fantastic map there. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we get back, we'll have map number 2 of Last Second versus Tekka Dynasty right after this. Welcome back to Best of the West. This is match number 1 of the day between Last Second and Tekka Dynasty. Last Second was able to secure that win with, well, the last 5-second push to be able to secure that finish onto point B. And this is the tail of the tape. This is the damage and stats from our first map.
Oh, yeah. They should have waited 4 more seconds to take it. That would have been a little bit more appropriate. But, you know, they're trying their best. No, I'm just kidding. Great showing. I mean, 5 seconds left. That is extremely clutch, of course. And we can see some of this damage, of course, leading the entire pack. Tekka, Dark Infester with that 0.5 thousand damage. Ridiculous. Once again, showing just what a great place Pale Rider is in right now. If you're into that play style, this is definitely the suit that you want to play, going for that hit scan type suit. But on top of that, I mean, honestly, there's just extremely high damage numbers across the board. Like, this was such a brawl. It came down to so many big team fights on points, whether it was the first point or the second point, and it just all came down to just small decisions within those team fights. So you can see why everybody would have so much damage.
Yeah, here it is. Map number 2, we're going over to Underground Command Center. Last Second will be starting off on the offense, and it looks like possibly picking up a gym sniper, just at least for the opening. You know, since you do have the long sight lines here, you can run out of spawn, maybe try to get a few angles, run back to spawn, and swap off if you need to. On the other side, though, for the defense, Tekka Dynasty. Oh, wait, are we actually going to see a heavy arms versus heavy arms? We actually haven't seen that quite yet.
That's true. That's true. You know, I mentioned literally at the start of the show today that the 2 heavy arms players that we'd seen were Gasman and Nostalgia, but this is the first time that these 2 players are meeting in the actual bracket, the first time these 2 teams are meeting in the bracket, so we might actually get the double heavy arms. I'm so excited. For anybody who doesn't know, of course, it's the first suit that we got from Gundam Wing, and it's the most recent suit to be added to the game in Season 3 of the game. It's really cool. It's got the moonsault for that mobility. It's got just tons of damage if you can land things correctly, and it does look like that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, so it's going to be important. That corner fight over that waypoint. We got to see it yesterday. Nostalgia being able to play off that extremely well, along with Gasman. And so, Exponent and Azor, both of them have to be on their game here on the Sazabi, respectively. We know the kind of focus that comes out onto the Sazabis without the heavy arms in play. But you add that additional DPS. It's going to be Codename Rude, actually, getting that first pick onto Mono, a second one as well.
Oh, Nostalgia putting in a lot of this damage, even though not technically getting a lot of the kills on the kill feed, but that is going to be the waypoint taken very, very quickly. However, there is a great counter push. Codename Moody is getting picked up in the background, and this could easily be a retake. There might actually be some respawns on the point, which could add to a little bit of a stagger. That will be a retake, and that will be a slight stagger. A great hold. I mentioned this yesterday, but being able to flex back behind the point and even give it up slightly can be so important. It's exactly what they did.
And that was just perfect timing coming up from Last Second there, understanding that the respawns were about to come in. They need to get onto the point. They need to flip it. You could see that there was a little bit of pressure put on from Last Second to try and maintain presence there. But ultimately, Tekka Dynasty, with that long run back, they have to fall back. So the waypoint going the way of Last Second. In terms of G maneuvers, nothing built up quite yet. The closest one we do have, it's going to be a Mono with that punch at 70%. As they turn the corner, it looks like Last Second are able to find 2 picks. So Tekka Dynasty not able to fall back far enough. Where do they decide to try and plant this one down? It's going to be down on that A site. Over aggression coming out from Last Second, though, gets punished as 3 members go down. The Mega Charge has fallen as well. And this is a great moment for Tekka Dynasty to try and stagger them. But oh, as I say that, a Mono and Gasman find 2 picks. And so now, the ability to try and keep this one alive is actually pretty massive for them. Wiki ends up going down there. Nostalgia with the barrage does not find anything, will fall for his efforts, and the Mega Charge is still ticking down.
Great movement from the team of Last Second to just be able to, I think like 2 or 3 people dodged behind cover as soon as they saw the flip out. They were ready for that potential G maneuver. I mean, of course, they've got the experience of using it themselves, especially Gasman, who was one of those players moving out of the way. But the fact that that is completely gone means that they're going to have a great time holding this. Gasman holding this top choke point, being able to shoot through that little grate, the little window, means that nobody's going to be able to go that direction. Nobody's going low. They might just be giving this up and backing up preemptively to make sure that they do not get staggered in this choke point, because this can be a huge choke point as well.
There were a few back spots. They are backing away, and it looks like the rest of the sport is there. Ooh, Gasman, excuse me, dropped down low, and it's going to be a new Gundam finishing him off. Codename Mood, getting it from around the corner there. We'll be able to regroup, though. They just need to wait it out. We do have a few G maneuvers online from either side. A robot and the Hades. That energy cable along for the Hades for Dark Infestor could be enough to shut this one down. Codename Mood still sitting on the front line with his squad. Oh, the Ashmar damage comes in.
They've got a great push up here. They took a good amount of damage on the side of last second, but so many of them are getting to this high ground. They are playing nearly supportless, though, as far as actual healing. Their only healing on their team is going to be from Zusi and that healing pack, but they managed to at least get out of that kind of choke position in the turn that they were in. They just need to sit there and wait for the actual natural healing, and that is what they're going to do. They're going to just be playing a little bit safe. They're getting some picks. They're waiting for their moment to actually push in once they're a little bit healthier.
They don't have the waypoint quite yet for last second here, and we do have the swap off coming out from Gasman. He ends up utilizing that barrage, tries to find a moment, ends up going down for it, but now he's going over to that Zaku 2 range. You see the zombie getting chased down, and Exponent will fall, but on that chase, that left Dark Infestor actually a little bit vulnerable, and there it is, the plant going down onto a site. Last second need to regroup here, as we do have a few members coming out from Tekka Dynasty to try and get on top of the funnel. Are there? Hawklight finds the pick onto Zusi. A4 now chasing for more, as Hawklight once again, this time on the Dom Trooper, putting in so much work, and the Mega Charge gets diffused.
Very nice counter push here. That was a little bit of a sneaky plant, and that can be very overwhelming, but everybody was ready to turn and fight in their correct positions. But there's going to be a huge G maneuver coming up this ramp. That's going to be taking down at least a couple people on the side of last second with that Screaming Nimbus. However, oh no, that is going to be quite a few others going down.
Zusi here in the 1v1 up against Dark Infestors, backing away. Both of them do have their Hades ready to go. The barrage out from Nostalgia didn't really get anything there. Was hoping that they pushed up the ramp, but he will be able to back away. He's got his zombie still up there to maintain a little bit of presence, and now as he tries to charge forward, it's right into the flames. Has to back off once again to get healed up. Still, though, Tekka Dynasty doing a great job of at least slowing things down. A robot with the help of his turret ends up picking up off Mono, bring this down to a 5v4. Last second, looking for another entry onto the point to try and get that Mega Charge down. They are now down to a minute and 40 seconds left. A robot getting chased down. He tries to take to the skies for the escape, and he gets taken out. Last second now with a pretty big advantage. But like you said, without that support line, without the extra heals, they are all basically relying upon health packs and Zusi here. So it's not clean for them in these fights. They do end up getting that Mega Charge down on A once again.
Yeah, they're doing great in these fights. They've got so many ways to prevent damage, but once they actually have to recover it becomes tough, and we see that happen right there. Gasman and Blue Jay both going down because they were not at full HP, and here we go, Dark Infestor topping the damage in the last games, trying to do it again, pulling out that Hades, being able to take down at least 2 people, even if one of them is after the Hades ends. He's going to heal up himself, but finally going down, not quite able to heal in time. We do see Gasman, of course, switching over to that Zaku 2 range, trying to get in there a little bit faster as there's only 50 seconds left.
Yeah, it seems like the tempo of this match is actually getting away from last second. A lot of staggering, especially in the last 2 minutes taking place here. So Tekka Dynasty were able to really take advantage of that now, playing once again for that. But oh, Zusi with that Hades pushes up, takes out Azor. Gasman does end up going down in the end, but Zusi is still here on the front line, dishing out the damage. 11 HP, still going for the peaks. He ultimately will be able to pick up the pack, and now that's the Mega Charge going down on the B site this time around.
That was such a clean near team wipe, and so much of it was that Hades. Zusi did get taken out, actually, at that kind of low HP just a moment ago, so that won't be every single person on the site to be able to defend that Mega Charge. That is going to be a huge Screaming Nimbus, and there's going to be 3 members down for last second. That managed to tag, I think, 4 players of the 6. The disarm is coming, and that is going to be only, I think, about 60% on that second point. Definitely not progress to scoff at, but a great retake from the defending team.
And the timing on the defuse on the disarm for that Mega Charge was actually pretty clean from Tekka Dynasty because I believe it went perfectly with that countdown for the remaining time. So yeah, that's a nice little stoppage at the very least from Tekka Dynasty. It's going to be their opportunity, of course, here on the offense now. And we'll see if they want to go for the initial the initial Gym Sniper from last second, or if they're just going to want to stick with the composition that they want to transition on over to once that waypoint gets taken.
I mean, honestly, we can't talk enough about how flexible both of these teams are as far as picks. There are just so many options as far as who can choose which suit. And even if we see a suit getting picked, it doesn't necessarily mean that the same person is going to pick it on any given team. So, for example, I believe just because they're on defense, this might be real. Zusi, yeah, already moving forward, is going to be on the Zaku 2 ranged, as opposed to that Pale Rider, which they've been on for basically the entirety of this tournament. I mean, they've had a few other picks, but especially the set, it's been primarily that. We will see Amano now, who is, again, a classic Pale Rider player. They honestly just have so many Pale Rider players, but back on the Pale Rider, they've got just tons of damage, tons of bullet damage coming out from this team now.
The difference is they end up lacking a little bit in the AoE department with Amano flexing off of the Ashamar. So they won't have that same kind of corner control when it comes to the flames that you're able to really put down. We'll see if that ends up being an issue here. Nostalgia, we're going to keep an eye on him as the Ashamar for his squad as well. We don't have, of course, Nostalgia on the heavy arms. So that will be a difference in the corner fights here, and that same kind of pressure on to the Sazabis.
I mean, you gotta love Ashamar here, and pretty much every other point, but especially here, that mobility is so strong. The flame grenades to be able to kind of get this spot that these defensive teams like to sit at behind the point is such an important tool. So I do appreciate this choice. You can get a lot of the same things with heavy arms, but being able to push up, it can be a lot more difficult with that lack of mobility. And here we go, we're gonna get a pick for a pick. They're already on the waypoint. They've already taken it.
And I love the way that they approach that. We see a lot of teams just try and push up through that corner, but because they have the unit that can just fly on over. You saw Nostalgia actually taking to the skies, getting over that mountain range, then dropping into the back line, applying even more pressure. Typically, like we said, we see teams backing away from that spot and then re-engage onto that waypoint. Well, Tekka Dynasty did not even give them that option. They put basically were able to just put all the pressure onto them, though. Now Tekka Dynasty slowing things down a little bit, and that allows Zusi to get that first pick. Hot Light goes down on that Gym Sniper. Ace in the face. That's what it here is going to try and take him out. And it's going to be the axe to finish him off, but it's 1 HP in a dream. He ends up falling here. So it's the cleanest of fight for Tekka Dynasty. Last second now, cleaning up the last members of Tekka Dynasty, allowing them to slow the game down just a bit. Tekka Dynasty still, though, have 3 minutes basically in their time bank to get this clamped down.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit more of a win more thing, but it's really nice to, if you know you're going to win a team fight, to have somebody up forward far enough to try and retake that waypoint, or at least challenge it slightly. But of course, you're more important. You're more focused on just actually winning the fight. And unfortunately, last second didn't have anybody retake that, so this is just going to be engagement, probably after engagement at the choke points here in front of the bomb point.
He's getting close to that Heat Hawk Slash. They're going to dive onto the right side, and he comes in from behind to take out Nostalgia. They try to go for the repair, and they get punished for it. Acer's the only one that's able to find a pick, but that was just because the focus that was put onto Exponent there. So a nice little pickup. He finds one more. He's not done quite yet. Acer's still alive. He almost took one more with him, but does mean the staggered spawns of TKD are going to have to wait things out. Now they're down to 2 minutes.
Oof, these pushes, the first initial push to take the waypoint was so strong. Literally just took one push. That's, incredible on this map. It's very difficult to do that. But now it's just looking like they're hitting a wall. Team Tekka Dynasty needs to find a way in. A lot of times we see once these kind of front pushes aren't working as well, we see a lot of the team rush up to the side with this little side that we're seeing right here. I don't know if they're going to try to go for that. There's some great defense up there with the mono, but we are actually going to see quite a few of them push up. However, 2 members already of Tekka Dynasty going down. This looks like another defended push.
That is impressive. Amano gets rushed down by Tekka Dynasty. They even pop the Hades from Dark Infestor, but he stays alive the whole time. Well, not the whole time. He ultimately goes down, but before he does, he takes 2, maybe 3 with him, and he's able to survive that pressure. And now things are looking absolutely dire for Tekka Dynasty. They have 1 minute, 10 seconds remaining. They only have 2 G maneuvers online. It's going to be Nostalgia with a punch, a robot with an energy cable. Acer is getting close, though, to the funnels. Might be enough for their opening, but on the other side, you've got the Screaming Nimbus, you've got the Hades. along with the funnels. Exponent has been dropped low, but it's going to be Nostalgia going in for the punch. He hasn't picked up a kill quite yet, but the space is there trying to make a charge down. No, it gets denied. And Tekka and Dynasty now are scrambling to try and keep this push alive, but in the face of Gasman and that barrage, the two-man coming in, they are sent packing once again. Tekka Dynasty now down to 30 seconds remaining, last second on the verge of ticking, of course, securing their spot in the next round of matches.
This is fighting for the tournament life, and they've got 30 seconds to not only fight off of this waypoint, but get in there, get the plant. We're going to see Sword try to get forward a little bit quicker. Codenamed as well. Both of them are the closest to being able to plant, but both of them at about half HP, and with so many members of the last second sitting on the point, that's going to be tough. Hawklight is using that G maneuver to be able to build some space. They might get the plant down to Robot. No, going down. Star Confessor's on, Nostalgia's on, Hawklight's on, but they are all getting melted, and no chance to plant the mega charge. That is going to be last second, moving forward in the bracket into our top three.
And that was fantastic. Last second, really putting the priority on the objective at that point instead of the fight. We got to see Zusi able to come in as that Zaku 2 range and just barrel stuff the planter, take him out, and then at that point, there was only, 2 seconds remaining. No one's able to really try and touch for the mega plant, for the plant once again. But despite that, we had a second person tag in to try and disrupt once again. Great focus fire, great game plan coming out from last second. They secure this 2-0 and will be moving on here in the lower bracket.
A 2-0, but it's a little bit of a cliche. Definitely a close 2-0. That was a huge challenge in both of those matches. It was just that defense on that particular point was so strong from them. And I gotta say, one thing that I really want to point out about that particular map was that they, I love to see the switch. Zusi off of the Pale Rider onto that Zaku 2 range. You can see the MVP right there. I'm sure we'll see the stats pretty soon. I'm sure the damage is ridiculous. I love to see the Amano get back on the Pale Rider. I mentioned before, Amano is a player that we used to see on Pale Rider all the time, one of our better Pale Rider players. Infamously, the Amano Hades were very, very strong, and we got a chance to see Amano still extremely strong on the suit, but they've got too many Pale Rider players on that team. It's like a good problem to have, but and their flexibility is great, but it's just like, oh, it's cool that we do at least get the chance to see that again. We see the flexibility of Gasman as well, being able to flex like 2 different suits even on defense right there, and we see them be able to shift their team for not only their opponents and the opponent's comp, but for what is best for their particular points. And that's why they were such a tough team to deal with on that first bomb site.
Yeah, we got to see a lot of kind of deliberation there when they were actually setting up for the defense. I mean, Amano was just staying at spawn. He's like, hey, am I playing Ashmar? Am I playing Pale Rider? What am I doing here? And you can see that sometimes the indecision maybe could be something that's punished in the end, but ultimately they were able to bring it all together extremely well there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats from that last map, and it was just a fantastic showing coming out from our players overall. It definitely wouldn't be surprised, of course, to see their Pale Riders topping in the leaderboard.
Well, okay, here's the tough thing, though. Since so many people switched off of Pale Rider, well, I guess Amano was on it for most of the time. I'm really curious exactly how it's going to go. I would also expect, again, though, the Zaku 2 range, I feel like that could be really high up there. On that site in particular, it is so hard to deal with Zaku 2 range. It can zip around everywhere, and it looks like, if we're just looking at the side of last second, on that last game, it was Amano. You were totally right there, but actually, kind of surprising to me, Wiki with the second highest amount of damage. Wiki been playing extremely well recently and really shown how much damage they can deal on kind of multiple different games that we've seen over the weekend.
Yeah, both here on Underground Command Center and on Harbor City. Wiki was topping the leaderboard as well. Amano, though, just eking out by a few thousand, but still great effort coming out. On the other side, Dark Infestor, despite being on the losing side of that map, he actually had the overall highest damage. But Amano, again, I think the difference, though, you have to remember is that Dark Infestor did have the backup of the Methus. He would get the energy cable, right? And so that does boost it up a little bit. So you kind of have to keep that in consideration. Amano was doing a fantastic job on that Pale Rider. We talked about his defense at that one point when we saw the dive coming out, the push coming out from Tekka Dynasty, where he's able to just pivot back, fall back, and just dish out damage the entire time, even in the face of a Dark Infestor Hades. He keeps his head on. He's absolutely cool-headed, level the entire time, and takes out 2 before he goes down to that push. It was just an amazing presence coming out from him. But yeah, that's going to be last second moving on to our lower bracket finals. We're going to go ahead and take a short break while we set up our next match. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll have more Best of the West right after this.